All right, welcome one, welcome all to the first episode of Collect, Beat, Repeat. I know the angle is a little bit weird, the camera angle is a little bit funky. We're testing the waters here. I was debating going in and buying a different tripod setup and getting all of this different equipment. And I was like, you know what? Let's test the waters. Let's try to get the format down. Let's try to get an understanding of what this show is going to be, or what this sort of section of shows is going to be. But I did buy this microphone, so I'm praying to God that that's picking up on your end, that the audio is decent. That's the one thing I'm very much I'm nitpicky about the audio quality. I want the audio quality to be good. If the video quality suffers, it's like it is what it is. We'll get better with that. Audio quality good out the gate. So the idea for this show, and the idea, it kind of, my whole mindset right now of just doing it, getting it done, is like, I know how I am, and if I don't launch it, even if it's not perfect, I'll keep on going in and trying to make this better and that better. It's like, let's get it done now and let's improve it slowly over time. So hopefully this will get better over time. So the idea for this show is it, I don't know really. I'm gonna go through what I did was I built a wheel of games on my phone, a wheel of names on my phone, different kind of categories that we're going to be going through. So for example, you know what, let's go ahead. I'm going to screen record this. I feel like the best way to explain something is just to do it. So it's screen capturing now. I'm going to spin the, you know what, let me shuffle real quick. Shuffle 2 times, shuffle 3 times, there we go. And I'm going to click spin on this bitch. Okay, and spinning, it's spinning. It landed on most impactful. All right, so what we're going to be doing, and I'm going to remove most impactful, and what we're going to be doing is I'm going to go through my collection and I'm going to pick out some of the games that have really had an impact on me. And I got a laundry list of different things, as you'll see on the wheel, different kind of categories, topics, genres, whatever, that we'll go through. And the idea is to just have this little section of the channel kind of dedicated more so to looking through the collection, examining the collection, and then diving into that, talking about these games that I've, hoarded over the years. So most impactful games is what we're going to get into today on Collect, Beat, Repeat. So games that really, really stuck out to me, stood out to me, games that still stick with me, I guess is the better term that I'm looking for here. So let's kind of start a little bit older out the gate. And once again, doing all of this, like as you see, just spinning the wheel, no real preparation kind of about which games I'm going to pick, which games I'm going to talk about, all this shit being done on the fly. So games that really had an impact on me. I mean, out the gate, I see right here, the Mass Effect trilogy. Surprise, surprise to anybody who has been around the channel for a while. This is the Mass Effect 1 got me into RPGs. Never really played an RPG before that. I've dabbled a little bit, but I've never been a JRPG guy. I've never really been a turn-based guy. And this just landed. My love for Star Wars, and I didn't play KOTOR before this. So this was kind of really my introduction to BioWare, my introduction to role-playing games, and kind of creating a new love for that action-oriented, choice-based, focused role-playing game experience that I love so much today. So Mass Effect has to be on there. So we'll leave that for the 360. I'm kind of thinking, so I had an idea to call this show the Six Picks or Pick Six, and I'm like, that sounds like a football show. So I was like, let's go with Collect, Beat, Repeat. And also, I'm going to do other things under the Collect, Beat, Repeat name. Go through and like the 20 hidden gems in my original Xbox collection, the 50 hidden gems in my PS5 collection, whatever it may be. So let's kind of let's do one console, maybe a couple per console. So games that were the most impactful to me. I need to write it down so I remember what it is I'm looking for exactly. But I think it was most impactful. I apologize if that's not exactly what the term was. Let's go original Xbox. I love my original Xbox collection. Fucking adore it, man. I think this is just one of the best consoles to collect for. So cheap, so damn affordable. The games are so fun. That era of gaming was so fun. Let's see. I'm thinking kind of a game that really sticks with me, impactful, something like an Indigo Prophecy, which I played on the PS2, but just to give it a little shine here, this was really the first game I ever played like this, where it's this really dark opening and you're in this bathroom stall and you're hiding a body that you're not sure, did I murder this person? I think I murdered this person. Well, let me hide the body and let me hide all the items that would suggest that I murdered them. And just that degree of branching narrative. And I know I talked about that a little bit with Mass Effect, but this was this was the first game I ever played like that, like specifically just kind of tailoring the entire experience around the choices. And I'm such a big fan of decision making in games. Most of y'all know that, but yeah, that was one that and still to the day I love the Telltale games, and even the later Quantic Dream game, the Detroit Become Human, and all of that shit. I still gravitate to those. And once again, when you're thinking about impactful, I'm thinking about the story and the weird ending. Like, that game still sticks with me. Just the ending was so fucking out there, so bizarre. So that would definitely have to be one. Let's look here. How about we do a little, I think y'all can see this area. Once again, I know my collection is brutal in terms of and this is actually even after some organization has been done. It's not a pretty sight to behold. And I've never been one for the aesthetic of collecting. Like, I like the wall. The wall is sick. And I think that's the funny thing, where y'all seeing me stand up now and kind of having the illusion shattered. When I'm sitting down, the collection looks so big and it looks like it's taking up the entire wall, which it is, but this is also taking up the entire wall of my wingspan. It's a really, really, small trailer that I live in, small single wide trailer. And so everything just looks so much bigger. This is pretty much just a little storage closet that I keep the games in. But I've never been one for the aesthetic. I like the wall, but I don't really care for decorations and the pizzazz. I just want a room to store my memories in, and to keep the stuff that I love, and to have access to it whenever I want to go back to it, or for games on the backlog that I need to keep in plain sight. So, okay. The PS4 was loaded with, impactful games. I know it hasn't been that long, so it's like, that's why I'm kind of struggling, or not really wanting to rely so much on the more recent games. Oh, perfect pick right here. Because this kind of, it's a tale of two stories. The PlayStation 2 game and the PS4 game for Mafia, the Definitive Edition. The remake is definitely, I would say, the way to play this game. No doubt. But that original back in the day was very, very special as well. Taking that formula, taking that format of the whole Grand Theft Auto open world crime sandbox thing, but not so much focusing on the crime sandbox nature. Like, it's there, but the open world's just set dressing. It's more to flesh out this story, to give you a background for this story. And that story is so good. All-time ending. All-time fucking ending in that game. That leads straight into Mafia 2. No need for spoilers or anything like that, but man, the ending of Mafia 1 is goosebump inducing. Still to this day, just thinking about it, you're like, that shit hits really, really hard. You know what? I got one right over here, I think. Dun, 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 dun. Yep. Got to shout out Parasite Eve. This is, I played this as an adult, so once again, I'm not saying it stuck with me for so long, but it's been a few years and I still think about this story all the time. And one of the categories that I have in the wheel that we'll get to hopefully one day is games I want to see remakes for. Parasite Eve is like top 3 games I want to see a remake for so badly. And just this whole world of kind of, it's not sci-fi, but like sci-fi adjacent horror, really leaning into like the scientific terminology and disease variants and just all of this weird shit, while also having such a character focused narrative that they were trying to tell with the New York City backdrop and kind of being you couldn't really explore because we're talking PlayStation 1, but you're in the car with the police chief and y'all are bantering back and forth, and it's just such a really strong character rich PlayStation 1 experience. And it's also not one that like it how do I say this? Like, it doesn't feel like it was designed for younger kids, you know? And I felt like that was a very common theme with role-playing games, where it was just a really cutesy art style, really cutesy characters. Like this had a pretty much Resident Evil aesthetic to it, tone to it, but with, you know, just being real, a much stronger narrative overall. So yeah, Parasite Eve. Got to shout that one out. So I think we're at like, what, 5 or so once again. I'm not necessarily trying to hit specific numbers of how many games to shout out, this, that, or the other, but stick with somewhere in that 5 to 7 range, something to that degree. I just had one that hit my brain. Yep. Metal Gear Solid 2. Of course, Metal Gear Solid 2. I mean, there's no game that is, in terms of the prophetic nature of the storytelling, in terms of the impact that it's had to, like, what we're talking, 2001 this came out, it's 2025 now, like 24 years later, and the themes that they're hitting on in this game are just now starting to truly show face in such a you know, prominent manner, with the rise of AI and the rise of blackmail that can be used through that AI, and just the whole social media, being able to weaponize social media against your political opponents or against just whoever. And yeah, I don't know, the themes of that game. It's listen, I don't think Kojima's like a master storyteller in terms of character writing, in terms of necessarily fleshing out a cohesive story. I think he's a master of, he's a master of kind of seeing where the world is and understanding where it's going to go. He has a weird sixth sense when it comes to being able to see the where we're evolving to, and where, unfortunately, some of the darker areas that our society is kind of pushing towards. And yeah, he is, you know, a fucking genius. Like there's no doubt about it. I had another one that just hit my mind on the PS2, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. Motherfucker. Once again, that's it's probably sitting here right in front of me, and I'm just not looking at it. But Beyond Good and Evil, I wanted to shout out as well. Let's see. There it is right here. Beyond Good and Evil. You know, this, I think the thing that impacted me the most about this game in particular was the ambition on offer with it. And for the majority of the game, it's not like an overly ambitious experience, right? But then it starts getting into some territory where you're like, oh wow, you're doing that? Wait, you're doing what? And that it's just like kind of one of those impactful moments where you're not expecting it to do what it does, and then it does it. And you're like, oh, okay. What's the Shaq meme? I wasn't familiar with your game. Back in the golden years of Ubisoft. And you know, it's also a really dark story. There's themes of like human trafficking in there, and it's got this really pretty art style, really cutesy kind of look to it, cartoonish kind of vibe, but then it gets into human trafficking and all this real fucked up shit. It definitely does. It leaves an impact on you. Yeah, I mean, we could probably wrap up there, but let's it's the first episode. Let's kind of dick around a little bit. Let's find something else. We haven't hit the PlayStation 3 yet. We gotta grab one from the PlayStation 3. The PS3 is weird, because it's a system that I missed I still played a lot of games on it when it was out, but I've played more games on it since, I've had to go back and clean up a lot of that backlog as an adult, which is a bummer. You want to play them while they're still out to some degree, because, or at least for me, I feel like once that time is gone, I feel like I'm just overwhelmed playing catch up, and I kind of just don't want to. But I don't know. That's probably just a me thing. I mean, do I do it? Do I pick the obvious one? It's sitting there looking me right in the face. Listen, I don't know. Fuck it. We'll go with this one, and then we'll do one more. We'll do one more because this is such an obvious pick. The Last of Us, of course, right? Impactful in terms of, I was getting back into games at this time, and playing through this specifically was one of those moments where I'm like, oh, dude, whatever is like this on the market, I want to play that. I'm a big narrative guy. I love stories. I want to. That's my go-to thing. I want to experience great hard hitting stories, and it doesn't get much harder hitting than that. It doesn't get much better than that. And that kind of took me to a whole different stratosphere in terms of my appreciation for games and where they had evolved to, and just I guess that kind of leads us straight into this PS5 PS4 era. And so let's shout out a game on the PS5, something that is, I'm not saying long-term impactful because I don't know yet, but something that came out that I think tells a really potent, impactful storytelling that kind of is on the back of something like A Last of Us. And let's go with a deeper cut here. Let's go with something that, something that is maybe not talked about so much. Let's go with... Perfect. Let's go with Banishers. Ghost of New Eden. Don't Nod. Don't Nod, Vampire, and The Life is Strange 1 and 2. Definitely 1, I think 1 and 2. Which, both great games. This does not get talked about enough. Banishers Ghost of New Eden. Does not get talked about enough, man. I understand from an aesthetic point of view, you look at it and you're like, it's not necessarily striking in terms of art style, in terms of kind of the imagery, the vibe, the aesthetic. It doesn't necessarily jump off the screen. It looks kind of standard, fantasy-esque tropes, but you get into that story and you're like, golly, a story about a wife and her husband, and what it means to really sacrifice, and which sacrifices are worth making to keep your moral kind of values in line. And it just goes to places narratively that you don't necessarily expect when you first pick it up. See, I gotta shout out Banishers. I could go all day for this. I think we've covered a good range here. I don't want to keep you too long, but I think we got a good range here. Kind of keep this short and sweet, and save up something for the next episode. I got to be a little bit honest with y'all. There's a part of me where I'm like, I don't want to highlight too many games per episode because I'm gonna run out of games. Like I know it looks crazy, like I have this massive collection, but you got to keep in mind some of these are backlog titles. Like, there's some stuff in here that I haven't played yet. Something like let's see, even like the Fatal Frame games. I haven't played either of these. I got to get around it. Maybe that's a category I'll add to the list. Games in my collection, the top games in my collection that I have not played. These are two of them for sure. Want to play both of these so badly, but when new games are coming out all the time, and I'm picking up games on a sale. Like it's the problem that we all have, right? Our backlog is never ending. So, when I'm thinking about this series, I'm like, I want to make sure that I don't do too many games at a time. That way the series can kind of go on for, hopefully, I don't know, I maybe have like 1,200 games in the collection. I've probably played at least 700, something like that, 800 maybe, of these games. So I think we can get quite a few episodes, but you're thinking 10 games per episode. Oh shit, you only got 70 episodes of this. If you want to do it, bi-weekly, you can get by. You could figure that out, but a weekly run of it, you're like, oh damn, I only got 2 years of this thing, less than 2 years of this thing. So trying to be smart, not overdoing it. So that's the first episode, man. This was really fun. I hope y'all enjoyed this first run here of Collect, Beat, Repeat, looking into the collection a little bit more than we typically do. And yeah, hit me with any suggestions in the comments down below. I've had people hit me up all the time on the channel and be like, hey, we want to see your collection a little bit more. And it's like, you kind of do, you just don't know it. It looks like, this wall behind me, it looks like that's going to be the whole room, but it's not. This is a really, really small space, and this wall is pretty much the majority of my collection, with this being the only other bit that I have, which, there's still a good chunk of games, and a lot we can get into with the PS4. When I was kind of repositioning everything, I was like, damn, that PS4 collection is fucking loaded. You kind of forget about it when you're not actively building it, because I'm not actively collecting for the PS4 anymore. I mean, I'll still go and grab PS4 games, but like, it's not, something I'm constantly scanning through on Best Buy or GameStop or eBay or, so I'm not seeking them out as frequently. So yeah, but like, looking at it now, you're like, damn, there's a lot we can dive into here with the PS4. And yeah, so, and I think there actually might be some other PlayStation 4 games that I don't have put up, because I'm looking around, it's like, I think there's a couple things missing. But anyways, nice little PS4 collection there. Nice little, that could be kind of a whole video, just looking at specific consoles. We'll save that for a little bit later. Let's keep this as broadly appealing as possible to start off with. I hope y'all enjoyed. Please, please, please consider hitting that like button. Consider subscribing, commenting, all of that good shit to help get this out to more eyeballs, so that more people can see it. I'll go in, make more content like this. Once again, don't want to overdo it, because I want this to be around for a while. But yeah, we'll definitely make more shit like this happen. This is fun. It's nice to be up walking around and talking while, as long as the audio is good. That's the only thing I give a shit. As long as the audio is fine, then I'm fine. Because this, I'm used to that damn Shure microphone now. It's like, I don't really like getting away from it. I thought about just dragging this motherfucker out here, but it doesn't quite connect. I'd have to be pulling some Justin Timberlake dance moves to be able to hold the microphone and communicate with y'all. So hopefully this works. Hopefully this is decent. I know I'm just rambling at this point. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Don't want to keep up too much of your time. I want to keep these kind of somewhat short and sweet. So appreciate y'all for tuning in to the first episode. Thank you all so very much. And I will see you good people in episode 2. I don't know if these will be episodic, but I'll see you in the next time, next week or the week after, something like that. So stick around, subscribe, please. Thank you. Bye.